This is my off-road welding setup. This is my 036 liter. I've shown it in other videos. I got 37s on it. I got an 8-inch lift. I don't do a lot of welding, but when I do, I just drop my welder on the back and my torches, and that's all I need. I'd like to build my oxyacetylene into a skid that the welder's on too with proper tie downs. Hopefully I'll get to that this winter. I've been meaning to do that for like 2 years now. But this works for when I need it right now. I like to keep most of my stuff inside of the truck. So I got my grinders there, got my helmet and all my tools. Because it gets so cold here in the winter that power tools actually won't work if like your impact and all that's like -40. Or just putting your hands on, you know, super cold wrenches is freaking terrible. But otherwise, this truck isn't too bad. I got a toolbox there. I always keep some jumper cables, a mat to kneel on when welding. I got some 70-18 rod in there. I always keep a slip tank on the back because I like buying fuel whenever I find it cheap. Now this is just a Bobcat 225. It's a much older welder. I'd like a bigger diesel at some point, but for now this does everything I need. When I originally bought this flat deck, it was on a welding truck and it worked pretty good. I definitely would have built the deck a little bit differently, but now that I lifted it, this workbench is way too high, so it's a lot less convenient as a welding truck than it was before. It looks a lot better now and it's better off-road. Just thought I'd show you my exhaust here. That's a 5-inch semi-stack coming out the side. Just so you know, back pressure is a myth. I can fit my whole arm up that thing. This is honestly a pretty low budget welding setup, but it does the trick. I got my torches, I got my grinder, and I got my welder. What else could you need? Today's welding project is this sea can. The other day we had a bunch of rain and I came in here to see how waterproof the roof was, and we had some drips coming down from this corner. So I'm gonna go find out where it's leaking on the roof and weld that up. I'd prefer this dry storage to actually work as dry storage. You can see here that they patched the roof at some point, and the welding they did was pretty not nice. Along with there's some other bits of damage here, so I'm gonna take a wire cup to it, buff it all down, and then see if I can find where it's leaking. I prefer using buckets for tools because I always have a lot of them and they work pretty well. You can carry all your stuff around, and if you break it, they're basically free to get replacement ones. These tool bags are all right too. This is a cheaper welder, but since it's a Miller and it's, I think it was built in like 95, I can still get all the parts for it if anything breaks, which is nice. Here's a little field fix I did there. These engines normally have a diaphragm style fuel pump that's mechanical, basically runs off of the crankcase pressure. Anyways, I have replaced it on this. They're like 50 bucks each, and I replaced it like once a year, once every 6 months. I got tired of it, so last time it burnt out, I just found a low pressure fuel pump to wire up, and I need to hook it up to a switch properly, but it works. This thing hasn't ran in about 6 months, so we'll see if it even fires up. I definitely located the hole right there. I've cleaned it all down to bare metal, but it looks like it's rusted pretty thin, so we'll see if it'll hold a weld at all. Pretty likely that it's just gonna burn through. I cleaned up a nice spot for the ground clamp. Now, if you've never considered this, use a vice grip for your ground clamp. Just weld a bolt to it. It never slips off on me, and I can always use it to like really squeeze through any rusty material. Just burning through. I'm gonna turn the welder down a bit. Yeah, that material's so thin, even with it turned down as much as I can, it's still burning through, so I'm actually gonna cut out a patch to weld on there. Well, that's definitely burning the paint off in here. On the bright side, it burns the rust off too. And that right there is why I've never really made any money with welding. But I'm a firm believer in do your best and grind the rest. And a little bit of spray paint will fill all the porosity holes on there and prevent rust. See, if you spray it while it's still hot, it boils and dries like immediately. It smells like burnt paint. Gonna spray a little bit of paint on the inside here to protect the bare metal. I'll have to come back next time it rains to see if there's any leaks. If anybody has an idea for a great skid design that would hold the bottles and the torch and like the welder and everything and be like easy to load and unload with the crane or anything, send me some design ideas on Instagram. I mean the ratchet straps, they do work, but it doesn't look very good. I have some fences and gates on the property to build soon, so when the time comes, I'll make some content about that. This truck will definitely come in handy for welding up some pipe gate posts. People are always saying lifted trucks are pavement princesses and they're useless, but I can definitely prove that wrong.